Let's talk a little bit about optimization and polygon count. The Unreal Engine was made to create games. It's a tool that is used to create games and to navigate in a real time. Based on that, one of the most important things of working in real time is to work with optimized elements with just a few amount of polygons. As inside the Unreal Engine everything happens in a real time, it's necessary that the elements have the lowest polygon count possible. That way the GPU is gonna be more free, which means that the graphic card, that is the hardware, the main hardware, that is going to be more free. When we talk about Unreal Engine 5, we have some technologies to optimize the polygon count. When we talk about Unreal Engine 4, we have some limitations. For example, one of the best ways to optimize the geometry of the Unreal Engine 4 is the acronym LOD, Level of Detail. Is a technology that will decrease the polygon count when we talk about the Unreal Engine 4 based on how far you are from the object. And the closer to the object you are, the higher the polygon count. The more distant you are from the object, the less amount of polygons will be shown to you, okay? This is an excellent tool for optimizing geometry. We also have the acronym LOD on Unreal Engine 5. But in addition to these acronyms, when we get to the optimization module, there is also Midnight, that is a new technology that came specifically with the launch of Unreal Engine 5. This is a technology that subdivides your object's geometry into clusters. Unlike LOD, this one allows you to use infinite polygon counts for your object. Obviously, there are some limitations, but we will talk about that in the class of Unreal Engine 5, okay? About optimization and everything. Don't worry about it, we'll talk about it. But here in Max, it is already important that we think about how the objects will be optimized in Unreal Engine 5, okay? How do I want to present my project? Like a video, browsing in real time. If I want to present it as a video, I can, for example, render this project. Rendering this video is obviously different from another offline renderer. Rendering inside Unreal is much faster. When I think about rendering of the video, I can abuse the polygon count a little more because I won't be browsing in real time. Now, if the project is to browse in real time, it's necessary to optimize the geometries well and use the Midnight feature and also use the LOD feature that is available in Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5. What do I have to keep in mind when I'm talking about games Unreal? Optimization and organization. Let's see, for example, how many millions of polygons our whole project has in the scene. How can I do it? In my case here, you just select everything because I already enabled the stats in the scene. If your Max doesn't have the stats enabled, you can enable them by clicking here and right here, statics, you're going to select this and activate this as well. Okay, great. Click right here, and after click right here. Cool, and let's go. Once this is done, it will show you the statistics. So if I, for example, click here on the street, I have 2 polygons and 6 vertices. If I click on the ceiling, I have 63 polygons and 122 vertices. If I click, for example, on the couch, I have over 200,000 polygons. If I click, for example, on the armchair, I have like almost 630,000 polygons. Basically, it's a lot of polygons to use inside Unreal. So I always have to think about optimization, optimize my scene. For example, we really need, for example, currently in 2022, which is the year that this video is being recorded, arc model blocks, max tree blocks, speed tree blocks, and the blocks were not meant to run in real time. They were meant to be rendered in offline renders like Corona, Varade. So these blocks did not start from the premise of optimization, but from realism and a high level of detail. And here, between the great things of working in real time, actually it's a great challenge. You actually need to reach equilibrium between optimization, which is a low polygon count, and an object as detailed as possible. And this is a big challenge. I can tell you to give you a north. For example, in the project that you're doing, objects that are closer to the observer, you can invest in more polygon count, with more details. Objects that will stay in the background, for example, vegetation, a distant forest, a room that will not be explored much, an object that is about 3 meters high or higher than the observer. This object may have a lower polygon count. This will help a lot inside Unreal, mainly when we talk about LOD, which is another technology different from Manite. Unlike Manite, because with Manite in Unreal Engine 5, we can basically use infinite polygon counts. But you can say me, but hey Dennis, so I can convert and use all objects as Manite. So I don't need to use them as LOD, for example, for optimization. And the answer is yes and no. Yes, if all objects are not going to have, for example, mesh deformity, okay? Today in 2022, Unreal Engine 5 with Manite technology doesn't support Manite on objects that have mesh deformity. What is a mesh deformity? It's an animation, for example. Let's take this bathtub here, and let's think that this bathtub I'm doing in an animated way, and I'm going to add a modifier, which is the noise modifier. Let's change the geometry here to 10 centimeters. Let's see. Look, you can see the mesh being deformed, right? And this deformation is done in geometry. When we use the Manite technology, it is not possible to apply Manite to objects that are deformed, okay? For example, if you have a real-time character that is walking in your project, that character cannot use Manite for optimization because our movement, leg movement, cause deformations in the geometry. And Manite does not support these deformations of the geometry. So in this case, you would use LOD because LOD will support the deformation. So let's think for this project here. We won't have any deformity in the geometry, okay? The bathtub will not be animated, and there will be no deformity. Cool? If your object, for example, are going to be animated and is going to movement like this, and it doesn't have any deformity, there is no problem, okay? Midnight will work, okay? The Lumen, which is the lighting system we use on Unreal, we'll talk about it later, don't worry about it. If your object has deformity, it won't be compatible with Midnight, okay? Then you will have to use LOD, okay? That's for we're gonna talk about it. Let's get back to the polygon count. Look at this. Starting from the idea that for this project, I won't have mesh deformity animation, so I'm basically going to use Midnight for almost everything. But don't worry about it, because I'll teach you how to use LOD on Unreal, okay? Meanwhile, let's just worry about Midnight. So look at this. As Midnight allows us in Unreal Engine 5 to use basically unlimited amount of polygons. Check it out. We can, for example, bevel the edges of these little pieces of wood here. In Unreal Engine 4, this was almost unthinkable because there are a lot of polygons. But since I'm thinking of turning this object into Midnight, I can overdo the polygon count. So you ask me, okay Dennis, do I have a limit, for example, to stop counting polygons in my object? Basically no, but it's interesting that you don't spend more than 1 million. Because depending on your GPU, your graphics card, it's not cool for you to abuse the polygon count too much, okay? Go between 5,000, 500,000 and maximum 1 million, okay? Because it may be that when importing this file to Unreal, when it saves or compiles the elements in its scene, it may close because it may be that there are too many polygons for the GPU to process. But once that file went to Unreal and it's usable there, you can replicate it infinite times. So, for example, you can have a bed that has 500,000 polygons. You can take it to Unreal and replicate 1 million times, okay? This amount of model duplication will have no impact on the frame rate per second. Frames per second is the name we give to how many frames your GPU can render each second, okay? Just for example, like a game, that is the FPS, okay? There are several names, a lot of confusing things if you're seeing Unreal for the first time, but don't worry, okay? Because as the course goes by, you will get familiarized, okay? Involving, navigating, and using the tool. Things will be much simpler than you think, okay? So don't worry, because things will be pretty easy for you, okay? So let's think for your project to adapt this idea to your project. Okay, will I have in my animation geometries that will deform? Will I have an animation inside this geometry? Will it move, distort? Will there be a deformity in the mesh? If the answer is yes, it's better to use LOD, okay? If the answer is no, if I go to browse the projects, furniture will be animated just by positioning and I won't have mesh deformity, okay, I can use Midnight, cool? So if we are going to use Midnight, I can have more polygons in my object. I can go from 0 to 1 million, okay? Depending on your GPU. For object, it's not the whole scene, it's just for the object. So for example, the armchair over there has like 600,000, okay? That's a high amount, but it's a super detailed model. Look at this. We can see that the armchair here has a lot of bond, a lot of lines, many polygons, okay? So I can have this object that has 600, the chair that has 30, sofa 200, this one 16, the bathroom 200, so the other 280, this one 350,000, okay? As I won't have geometry animation, it is just object positioning, which is just the object moving, so I can use Manage. So I can start from the idea that I can go from 0 to a maximum of 1 million polygons per object, okay? Otherwise, I will use LOD. This class is a little bit more informative, okay, about optimization, but don't worry about it. We'll see how to do optimization in practice. I see you in the next class, okay? See you.